Up the stream. Okay. Stream is going.
Stream is going.
Cameras are going here. Let me make sure. And let's see. Here we go. Yep. There's BJ.
Hi.
There's me. Hi. Okay, we're good. And mic's off and music on.
Hey! Shut the fuck up!
There is no escape.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest.
Another name you might know me by.
Starlight.
My name is Oliver Queen.
You'll be hearing from us.
From the Strategic Homeland.
Just call us Shield.
Beware my power. Green Lantern's light.
And here we go.
Excelsior!
Okay, this is not working.
The
out.
magic
of radio.
of doing it live.
It's not working.
We're sitting here patiently.
We're like, where is it? Where's the music?
And
I
we
don't
figured.
know. I have no clue where the. You know what? I think I know where the music's going, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm just gonna do this.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size.
You know, it works.
It's working.
I think that was better than our original plan because, you know what? To hell with a seamless transition.
To hell with live radio and how
Yeah.
making it smooth.
Seriously.
Geek Show. I'm Big Rich. That's BJ across the table over there. Thanks for listening. This is episode 51, and I'm gonna guess that you know our listeners have probably figured out the fact that our show's about the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Spider-Man Homecoming. Not the Amazing Spider-Man.
That's true.
But this Spider-Man was amazing.
It was. I loved your tweet. This Spider-Man was amazing, and then what else did you say?
Spectacular, even.
Spectacular, even. Yeah, you can fit it both in there.
Right.
So, like we said, I'm Big Rich, BJ across the table, Geek Show episode 51. Thanks for listening. You can get us on iTunes, Stitcher, of course, our webpage, xjockalbanyny.com, and also on the iHeartRadio app, which we would love for you to go and download and favorite us, and everything, and leave nice comments and all that kind of stuff.
Give us a follow.
Give us a follow. That would be lovely.
Yes.
We would enjoy that. Follow us on all of them, even better. And of course, we're live streaming on YouTube right now. So you can watch us. If you're watching us, great. If not, you can go back and watch us later. You can go to the webpage and get the link and all that. So you can, watch BJ and I sit here perfectly calm, waiting for the Spider-Man music to start and then nothing to happen.
It's fantastic. That's probably one of my favorite moments of this podcast.
It's just the
it's when things like don't
go right.
Yeah, when things don't go the way that you are like we literally sat here before the show started,
and I downloaded the music and put it into the automation system.
We had literally had like a production little brainstorming session before we went on,
and it sounded great on paper.
Yeah, and it just didn't work out.
No, it did not.
That's great though.
Yeah, it worked good. So, but anyway, so we're all about Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah. BJ saw it. You saw it yesterday, right?
I went and saw it yesterday. For the first time since for the first time since Iron Man 2008, this is the first time I haven't seen a MCU movie on opening weekend.
Yeah, I with the kid now and budgets and all that.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to go on opening night for a couple times. I mean, I actually have to plan.
Well, I don't go opening night.
Yeah. Well, I like going opening night because I feel like there's more energy with the fans and standing in line, being able to just talk and that kind of thing. I mean, but I have to plan those things way ahead. I mean, I'm just starting to plan going to see Last Jedi.
I know.
So I got to plan this far out to make sure it happens for me. So, so I did see it as well. So we are going to basically tell you right now, spoiler alert.
Yes.
We are going to talk about the movie. We are going to disclose things. So if you have not seen Spider-Man Homecoming yet, stop this episode, come back to it later, but remember to favorite us on every other platform, iTunes and iHeart and everything else. So you can come back, find us, and then listen to this episode after you've seen the movie. But that's the most important thing. Spoiler alert. There will be spoilers.
Oh, I think we've given people ample warning.
I think so. You have been warned. I have been so warned. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, I was going to say, first things first, we should just get our initial thoughts on it. It's really hard for me to say this, but I think that this is my favorite Spider-Man movie so far. You know, I loved the first Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire. The first two I thought were fantastic. But I think this movie for me felt the most like those movies were fine. They were good Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
That was an older Spider-Man.
Yep.
Even though it wasn't technically older. I mean, he was in high school in the first one.
Yeah, we got a little bit of
But
it.
you didn't get that same vibe. You got this great high school vibe from Tom Holland.
Yes, Tom Holland looks so young, and he looks so much the part of teenage Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And it was great. And what I also loved was, you know, they didn't redo the whole origin. I mean, we've seen that like, you know, 4 or 5 times already between television and movies and that. So getting right into the meat and potatoes of it, it picks up right after the events of Captain America Civil War. It actually starts with clips that Peter has recorded on his phone, on his smartphone from Germany with that encounter at the Berlin airport where he stole Cap's shield and everything, and he's just going fanboy about it.
What was so great about that is like you actually got to see, you know, that aspect of Spider-Man. You know, Peter Parker,
the kid,
always out with his camera taking photos of Spider-Man for J. Jonah Jameson. This is almost like laying the groundwork for that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just super happy to be there. He's super excited, like any other teenage kid that's, I mean, you know, I was reading Entertainment Weekly, the issue that came out about Spider-Man: Homecoming just before the release, the week of the release of the movie, and I mean they nailed it, you know, pretty much right on the nose. If you were a 15-year-old kid and you suddenly got these superpowers, hell yeah, you'd want to have fun with it. You'd want to go out and just do all kinds of stuff. But what I also loved was, you know, they so much established him as a teenage kid because, you know, he's running around Queens, he's stopping all these people, but then he's also really bored because, you know, it's just, you know, five and dime kind of stuff.
He's stopping robbers and, you know, would-be, like, thieves and stuff. I thought it was great when he's on the phone because he's supposed to be giving Happy, he's supposed to be giving Happy Hogan his mission reports and everything. And Happy's not really giving him the time of day or anything. Like, it is what it is, you know?
Happy's basically his babysitter for this. And, you know, Happy's got more, he thinks he's got more important stuff on his mind. But Peter, it's just, you know, and he's itching for that next mission. He got a taste of working with, you know, Iron Man and Vision and War Machine and all that. And he wants to do more. And he thinks of himself basically as an Avenger now.
Right.
So,
and he says it several times. Like, so you're his friend keeps asking.
Yeah, Ned Leeds.
Avenger?
Yeah, Ned Leeds asks him, so you're an Avenger? Yeah, I sort of, pretty much, yeah. And he says, and you know, and just, you know, the whole anxiousness of Peter Parker and just itching to go out and do what he wants to do. And I mean, we all know the backstory of why he does what he wants to do. And we kind of got a little bit of that in Civil War when Tony went to his apartment with, you know, and basically just kind of surprised him when he was sitting there on the couch with Aunt May, you know, and he asks him, so why are you doing it? What gets you out of bed every morning? And, you know, he tries to explain it to him without going into detail that, you know, it was because his Uncle Ben died because he didn't act. He was a cocky kid, and you know, he got killed. And now his aunt is suffering, he's suffering, and he's trying to make up for it with with great power comes great responsibility, you know, philosophy, and he believes in that. And he's learned his lesson, and that's why he does what he does. And we get a little glimpse of that. He doesn't come out and say it, but you can see it in his eyes and his mannerisms when he's talking.
Well, and throughout the movie too.
And throughout the movie as well.
Just throughout the movie, like the decisions that he makes.
Yes. So I mean, he's obvious. It's. I mean, so even though we didn't get that you know, origin story, which is great, we still can see it permeating through the storyline. You know, we saw a little bit in Civil War, and now we're seeing it in Spider-Man: Homecoming even more, and we get to see him, just doing what we saw Spider-Man do in the comic books. He's riding on the on the elevated train. He's checking his phone messages. He's tweeting his buddies. And
this movie, to me, when the fact that you mentioned that, felt the most like I was flipping through a Spider-Man comic.
Oh God, yes.
The whole time, like everything. I mean, the thing that I've always loved about Spider-Man is that his life was so relatable.
Yep.
Like he's dealing with everyday things as well
that's
as
classic Marvel. That is
so
classic Marvel comics, and we got that, and it came right through. And I have fallen in love with the character Spider-Man all over again. I mean, he was my favorite character growing up. I literally had a Spider-Man wallpaper on every single computer I've ever built or owned ever since 2003.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just like it brings me back to reading all those old issues John Romita Jr. drew, and it was just great. I loved it.
I don't think that I have any I don't think I have any real criticisms of this movie. I thought that they did a really good job. They did a really good job in this one of kind of bringing in some of those classic Spider-Man rogues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
He's Adrian Toomes. He's the Vulture.
Yeah.
And then you also had both versions of the Shocker.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. I was like, how are they going to pull this off? But they somehow did.
Yeah.
It wasn't a focused villain. It wasn't like, all right, now I need the backstory of this villain and the backstory of that villain.
They totally avoided a lot of that backstory crap and just brought him in. I mean, you pretty much got most of that backstory through the as the movie progressed.
Right.
They kind of threw little pieces here and there, and I like the fact that the director and the writer felt that the audience was smart enough. This was honestly, I feel like this was really written for the fans, not just the general public. I mean, it appealed to the general public that likes going to the MCU movies just for the action and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But for the fans, this really hit home as well, because you can say, oh my, I remember that.
Yeah.
There's these different things that they pulled from the comics and threw in there, and it was just classic Marvel comic books.
Well, even
I
like
love.
the different things that they pulled from the first Avengers, because I mean that's where the movie kicks off.
Yeah.
At the end of the first Avengers, when they're cleaning up the mess.
Yes.
Michael Keaton and his whole crew are there to clean up the mess from the Chitauri invasion.
Yeah, his company's basically got a contract with the city, he says, and they're there, and the
government comes in.
Comes in. Damage control.
Right. How cool is that now that we have damage control in the MCU?
That was awesome, because I used to read the Damage Control comic book series when they had it out for a little while. It was more of a satirical comic book. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing.
Yeah.
They usually would have a guy there with a push broom just kind of pushing away in the background, and I always thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, this was awesome. And Tyne Daly.
Tyne Daly shows up. I was like, what is? They got Tyne Daly to be in
pulling
this movie.
They're pulling some class, some class actors in to really do this stuff. And I mean, it's starting to get to be like Star Wars, where you got all of these characters, all of these actors, these great actors wanting to be a part of the history. I mean, and you see all these modern day actors obviously now, because who else you gonna get for all these Star Wars movies? And now, I mean, they want to be in Star Wars, now they want to be in Spider-Man and all the MCU movies, and they're finding these places for them and giving them, making them part of the the fabric of all of these stories, because a lot of those characters in there all had, even the secondary characters had a lot of background. I mean, Flash Thompson and we also Betty Bryant.
Right. Oh, Brant.
Brant was in there. She was the girl anchor on the TV. I know. And Flash Thompson, it was they said he's a modern day bully. He's not the big version that we see in the comic books, where he's physically pushing around Peter all the time.
He's just kind of a douche.
He's just a dick.
Yeah.
The dude's just a dick.
Basically.
Yeah. And, he's just there to make Peter's life live in hell for a while. And then you got Ned Leeds and all these characters that have all this great backstory, and we're just seeing them now kind of coming into it. And then you had that little twist there.
Yeah.
at the end. I mean, how did you feel about?
I was gonna say, if I had to give one criticism of it, I really liked Zendaya's character, Michelle.
Yeah.
I think that they could have just left her as Michelle instead of at the
Yeah.
very end. And this is a big spoiler if you're still watching. Like, oh, they won't spoil that much for me.
Yeah.
When she says at the end of it, "Oh, all my friends call me MJ," and I was just like, you know what? You didn't have to squeeze that in there.
That's probably the
You know?
only criticism I really have
Right.
about the movie.
Right.
It just felt kind of. It felt like it. You know, the writers or the director or whoever did it was just being a dick.
I just feel like they did it to do it so that they could pull the wool over everyone's eyes of casting her as MJ.
Yeah.
And they're calling, and so let her be Michelle. I thought the character was fantastic. She was funny.
Yeah.
You know, obviously she's got a little bit of a thing for Peter Parker.
Yeah, obviously.
You know, let that character be that character all on its own. Like, I'm fine if that is a character that they just created
Yeah.
and let be in the movie because it worked. I don't think you needed to make her MJ. I think
Yeah.
that's the only criticism that I have of this entire movie.
And it kind of, and when they kind of tease the fact that you know, they're saying this is MJ.
Yeah.
Everybody freaking, it was just, the internet just blew up because they're like, oh, you know, here they are, they're changing, you know,
Right.
a character, they're changing race and all this other kind of, and just a ton of people just came out of the woodwork, and there was just yelling from all over the internet about it, and you know, that kind of thing. And I'm of the opinion myself, and I'll probably get yelled at by people about it, but I don't care. This is my opinion. They shouldn't change those established characters like that.
No, I'm with you. I agree. 100%.
I mean, they yell about diversity and all that. Okay, great. Why not add new characters that can step in and be a part of it? Look at Miles Morales. He became Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And here he is, you know, this is the kind of diversity. This is how you can do diversity without changing. I mean, look at Iron Man. What's it? Riri? Is they calling her Riri? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Riri Williams. I don't like that's the direction that they went in the comics with it. They did a lot of that recently with Marvel, and it's hurt them in the comics a sense.
It kind of has. I mean, but I still feel that's the way they should go with you know, with how to add more diversity to the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
To me, that works.
Well,
It's
see,
just,
I
think they have to do more character development.
I don't think that they need to replace established characters with like a, you know, like passing of the torch type thing to someone else. If they could just create someone new, and give them something. And I know Riri Williams she's not Iron Man, she's Ironheart. I just didn't like the direction that particular Invincible Iron Man comic was going.
I haven't read the Iron Man comics.
I kind of stopped once they introduced Riri Williams. I was kind of like, I'm not really feeling this Bendis run, and I just kind of stopped reading it and everything. The only one that I really read anymore is the Doctor Strange comic that is currently out.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't really read a lot of current Marvel stuff just because of the way they've been taking things in regards to the blowing up the universe and recreating it and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well, and it all always, and I will say this, and we're off on a little bit of a tangent here, but DC Rebirth is really cool. The way that they did that. The all different Marvel started out really cool, but it's all everything. Yeah. Everything in DC and Marvel is always building to some gigantic crossover event. And you have to read this comic issue and this comic issue and that one. And it's like, it's too much. And I've got event fatigue and I don't care. So, I would rather read something that is singular.
Yep.
And in its own world, and I just have to pick it up and I have to read that one, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I feel like they're doing it just to get these other titles that aren't getting the sales, to for people to go out and buy them just for the just to get their money, and I really think that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah.
On the comic book company's part to do that kind of thing. I mean, number one, why would Spider-Man need 4 different titles? I mean, at one point, you had Amazing Spider-Man, you had Spider-Man, you had Spectacular Spider-Man, you had Web of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I read Amazing Spider-Man and Web of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like, how many stories can you really tell, you know, at the same time, congruent? How does this fit into the current timeline and everything? It's just
It's too much.
It's way too much. It's just oversaturation, which I really think is just, it's not the way to go. Leave it with the one title. You got your annuals every year, which are usually double or triple size because they told a much bigger story. You know, and then just, yeah, I don't understand the whole point of having 4 titles of Spider-Man at one point.
No.
And then, yeah, because I'm honestly, I'm not, you know, if I'm not going to go out and buy all 4 titles.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford it.
Well, I think that's where DC Rebirth kind of has a leg up on Marvel right now as far as the comics goes. You have your Green Arrow, you've got your Batman, you've got your Flash, your Superman, and then, you know, you have that one offshoot of Action Comics, which focuses on a different Superman and whatnot. But you don't have so many, like, titles that are crossing lines and barriers, and what's going on here, is it affecting this and everything. So at any rate,
I think what they should, I mean, I know we're way off topic on this, but I really think they should basically just stick to the more established characters, and maybe do, like, you know, special series, maybe like 4-issue series of all these other types of characters, like, you know, bringing back Ant-Man for like 4 issue story, or a 10-issue story or something like that, or, you know, that kind of thing. If they take off, okay, do another one. Oh, that one took off too. Okay, well, let's try a regular series and kind of go from there and build up from there. But don't just, you know, just don't do the multiple, you know, thing. It's just, I think it's stupid.
Too much.
But anyway,
too much.
Yeah, it's too much. But going back to the original point of Spider-Man with the whole MJ thing.
Yeah.
Zendaya, I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I loved her. But yeah, the whole MJ thing was kind of dickish to me.
Yeah, we just didn't need it.
Yeah, it didn't really feel right.
It's the only part of that movie I'll say felt forced.
Yeah, pretty much. That was, and that's. I mean, would you say that's your only criticism of the movie?
No, yeah, that's it. That's the only criticism I have of the movie. I thought everything else was great. I loved Peter's relationship with so many people in it.
Yeah.
I loved that his relationship with Happy.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
I loved his relationship with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
You know, that he's kind of looking out for him and giving him that father figure.
Yeah.
You know, obviously his relationship with his best friend Ned was great.
Yeah.
You know, with the rest of his classmates, I thought that was really good. Everybody can kind of see that Peter Parker is he's a little bit, he's got a little bit of stuff on his mind and everything, but nobody can kind of put it together. His relationship with Aunt May was great.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see a little bit more of Aunt May.
Yeah.
You know,
like a bikini?
Well, yeah, sure. That.
I mean, Marissa Tomei in a bikini. Sure. Aunt May, you know. here we are.
Spider-Man, Caribbean Vacation. That'll be the sequel.
We all thought, you know, Marissa Tomei is Aunt May.
Yeah.
That's kind of young, but okay, we'll give it a try. After seeing it.
Yeah, I love that they're playing into it pretty well too. Like, everybody loves her and everything. Like, you know, throughout the movie, if she's with Peter, like, for some reason, people are always just giving them free stuff.
Yeah,
and everything.
She gets a bowl of rice pudding at the Thai place. And
when he's at the deli getting a sandwich, and they're like, oh, how's your aunt doing? And he's like, she's fine. And he looks at the other guy and says in Spanish, she's a very hot Italian woman.
Yeah. And he's like, how's your daughter?
Right. Peter asked him that. I thought that was funny.
That was and that's a great little thing. And I thought Marissa was really great. And then there's the, you know, the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Where, you know, well, not really the end credit scene, but the end of the movie itself.
Yeah.
You know, Peter's got the suit back from Tony.
And he puts it on.
He's standing there in his room. He's got his back to the door, and then all of a sudden Aunt May walks up to the door, and then we hear her say, "What the?" And then it cuts it off right there.
And it just goes into Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones, which I thought was a great way to end that movie.
Yeah.
Like, perfect song for that. There was just so much. I thought that it was a great thing seeing him in the suit that Tony gave him in Civil War and watching him go out and do everything, and then you get it taken away from him.
Yeah.
And I felt like he wasn't fully Spider-Man yet until the big confrontation with Vulture, which we'll got to talk about that twist in a minute. But with the big confrontation with Vulture at the end, when the building comes down on him and he's stuck and he can't do it. I don't know how to get out of this and everything.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden he pulls deep.
Yeah.
And I think that was the transition
Yeah.
to where Peter Parker really became Spider-Man.
Yeah.
in that whole movie.
Yeah, and that's just, you know, pulled right out of the comic books.
Yeah.
That whole scene, and it was great, and Michael Keaton played it great.
I wasn't so thrilled when they cast him in the role. I was like, I don't really.
Yeah.
I know Keaton's a great actor and everybody loves
It's-
him and he's Batman and everything.
It was like the Tim Burton Batman all over again. You know, when he got cast in that, I thought, oh man, he's gonna suck.
Like, how can you,
Mr. Mom?
Right, Beetlejuice? Like, what
Yeah.
is going on?
What?
But man, it's just every single time he pulls it off.
I gotta say, he's one hell of an actor. I
Yeah.
mean, he really knows how to pull out, you know, the character. Really, it was just great. You almost feel, you know, and you kind of feel for Adrian Toomes because of, you know, his whole purpose for what he's doing to take care of his family and everything. It's kind of a noble purpose, but obviously it's not right. He's breaking the law. He's
a villain based on circumstances,
Yes.
which is established in the beginning of the movie when the government comes in, takes away a city contract to clean up the mess that was left behind by the Chitauri and the Avengers in the first film. So then he has to figure out a way to provide.
Yeah.
And his way of providing was taking what he had from the scraps that he had salvaged from these alien weapons and from Hydra and from all these other places that he's now salvaging and creating new weapons to sell to people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what he does. I mean, he's all basically, you have people that are thieves. Like, they definitely took some liberties with the Vulture character.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, Vulture is much older.
Yeah.
And obviously the suit very, very different than what Michael Keaton had. But yeah, I think they did an awesome job of making him more movie friendly.
Yeah.
In that regard, because I mean, you see a guy in a tight green suit with big feather wings.
I know.
I mean, it doesn't work.
It would have been silly.
It would have been stupid. But I mean, it looked great. I mean, he had like the leather bomber jacket with the fur.
Yes.
You know, with the fur hood.
Yep.
And then he had the fighter pilot helmet with the night vision and the heads-up display built in and all that, and it looked, you know, very menacing, and it just fit the character of Vulture awesomely.
Yeah, it was great. The whole big twist with Vulture, which I thought they did really well, is Peter is interested in this girl Liz the entire time.
Yep.
They're finally going to go to the homecoming dance together, and he
Yep.
goes to the house to pick her up.
Yeah.
And who answers the door? It's Vulture, and that's when you learn that Vulture is Liz's father.
Yeah. And I actually, when I first saw the movie, I kind of called it, and I was thinking to myself, you know, May is in front of the house dropping Peter off to go get Liz.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, something about this, you know, I kind of just in back of my head thought, we're going to see Vulture. This is going to be, something's going to happen. There's a connection. Sure enough, open the door.
Yeah.
There's Michael Keaton. I'm like, damn it, I nailed it.
See, I thought that he had opened the door and greeted him because he had figured out who he was.
Oh.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And he was there with, like, having them hostage. Not that it was his family. I mean, he didn't know. When Peter Parker opened that door, he had no idea that Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
No idea whatsoever.
Until they're talking in the car, and they put two and two together that he was in D.C. when the people got stranded on the elevator, but he had disappeared for a while, and he was here when this had happened, and they had disappeared for a while, and all this other stuff. But yeah, I just that's when all of a sudden Vulture puts it together, says, listen, stay out of my business.
Yep.
We'll forget this ever happened.
You saved my daughter, so I can't forget that, he says. And basically tells Peter, you know, you leave me alone, I'm leaving you and everybody in your family alone.
Right.
Otherwise, kill everybody you love.
But that's where we were talking about, where those decisions that Peter Parker makes.
Yep.
Very mature, very adult. Like, okay, I could let this guy go. I can go and get the girl. Happy ending, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But I think that's where you see the whole repercussions of the Uncle Ben thing, where if he didn't take action.
He knows that if he doesn't do something, there's going to be trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was really cool the way that they played that, and then of course the whole Staten Island ferry
Yes.
scene where that whole thing unfolding where the boat is splitting in half, and he's really unprepared for dealing with this. It turns out that the feds are on the boat. They're gonna bust those guys anyway. So he kind of screwed that whole thing up, which is just classic Spider-Man.
Yeah, because I mean, he left a message for Happy. He tried to tell Happy what was going on.
Right.
Tony found out, what he had told Happy, or Happy had told him, or something about the voicemail. Maybe Friday, saw the voicemail and forwarded it to Tony or whatever. But either way, Tony knew, told the cops, told the feds. And the feds were there waiting to get Vulture and his guys, and then, the other guys that were buying the weapons. And then, Peter, he jumped in, he didn't know about it, and he screwed everything up. Royally screwed.
And that's where, you see where, Tony Stark says, "You're not ready for the suit. I got to take it back." And that's, after that is when you really see this is him becoming Spider-Man.
He goes back to his homemade costume that he had, and and he basically, that's where he goes and actually takes on Vulture.
Right.
Out of the prom, after from the prom, basically he knows what's going on.
I liked the little Easter egg of the Scorpion. I thought that was cool.
That was kind of cool.
What the heck was his name? Well, the actor who's playing him is an actor on Better Call Saul, and I love him, and I think he's great. And I cannot what is the Scorpion's real name?
Mac something, or I think
when they said it, I was like, Scorpion. I was like, that's Scorpion, and they flash in on him, and he's got the Scorpion tattoo on his neck.
On him. And from what I've been seeing on some YouTube channels, they think that they're probably going to have him more like the Ultimate Spider-Man Scorpion, where he's more like a big drug lord, instead of with a super suit or anything like that. So we'll see how that works. But I mean, either way, I mean, it's cool. It's an Easter egg, and it's a character,
right?
And we're hopefully going to see him in a future.
It's certainly setting things up for the end, because at the end with his big confrontation with Vulture, he doesn't the Vulture's suit kind of backfires on him and explodes. Spider-Man ends up saving Toomes, and then leaving him for the authorities. In the same time, saving Happy's ass, because the Vulture's big heist at the end of the movie was going to be stealing from the Avengers themselves all of their technology and everything that was being shipped to the new upstate New York facility for them. And he leaves the Vulture there. The Vulture's in prison, and that's when the Vulture and the Scorpion have an interaction. And the Scorpion says to him, I hear who Spider-Man is. And that's when he says, if I knew who he was, he wouldn't even be alive still. That's him thanking Peter Parker.
That's the start, kind of the start of his penance for what he's done. But I think we're gonna find that he might be back in regards to that, because he's still in the circumstance that his we know that Toomes' wife and daughter have moved to like Washington State or something like that. They've left because he doesn't want them there for the trial. And so who knows? I mean, I'm guessing that probably his wife's going to divorce him,
right?
And then he's going to be this victim of circumstance again, where he has to turn to being the Vulture again somehow.
I don't know if he's going to turn to being the Vulture. I wonder if he's going to be so you get the sequel to Spider-Man. That's out and everything. Obviously the Scorpion is going to be doing something from the inside. And I think that it's going to be a thing where Peter Parker has to then go visit Adrian Toomes in prison, and that is where the alliance is going to happen.
Right. Now, I wonder if this is the same prison as where Kingpin is.
In like the Netflix universe?
Yeah, because I mean, they've said that the Netflix universe is connected to the MCU, but obviously you won't see those characters because of what they're like street level, and then you got Avengers and all of that. Spidey is kind of street level, but he's obviously the other side of
Yeah.
New York City, over in Queens,
Right.
where everybody else is, is uptown near Harlem.
I would love that.
That would be great to see Matt Murdock, see Daredevil with
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said, I mean, when they have the TV part of it kind of connected with the movies, tied in with like not Civil War, but Winter Soldier
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, and Doctor Strange,
Right.
the little hints and all that. I like that. I think they should still keep that. And honestly, I think they should just try throwing money at somebody just to kind of make a walk-on cameo from the movies, just to kind of tie that together. They don't have to be, I mean, you don't have to have RDJ in the Iron Man suit. He can basically walk in and like, Coulson, you're alive? What's going on? That kind of thing. Or even have Coulson show up in Iron Man. Hey, Tony, we got to talk. And it's like, what? Mind blown.
Right.
That kind of thing.
I don't think that we'll never see that interaction, because I remember Joss Whedon saying, for the purpose of the MCU, Coulson is dead. Like, they're never gonna know he's alive. He's operating within the shadows type situation.
Right.
Like, they're never gonna know that. But I would like to see an interaction, possibly between Kingpin,
Yeah.
if it is in fact the same prison, Vincent D'Onofrio,
Yeah.
and Michael Keaton. Like, how awesome would that be?
Oh, that would be so cool. Have Kingpin and
Yeah.
Vulture in the same prison and all that, and just that would be so awesome.
Because they're in like the tightest of maximum security.
Yeah, they've got to be. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're in that that floating one, out in the middle of the ocean where everybody was,
Right,
where they kept like Hawkeye and all of that. But still, that would be really cool to see that confrontation between D'Onofrio and Keaton as their characters in prison, and that would just kind of tie everything together, because Spider-Man did fight Kingpin. He was a big deal in some of those issues of Spider-Man. So that would be great if we could see D'Onofrio. I mean, there's obviously that connection's there. I think they should do that, because with Netflix, they basically have carte blanche when it comes to those stories. It's not cable. It's quote unquote cable TV.
Kind of.
They're not bound by the FCC regs
It's the
and all that
same
kind of
situation as if a show exists on HBO or Showtime. You know, it's just going to be more. You're going to get more out.
Yeah,
of
you
it.
can see the boobies and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You can hear the swearing and all that, but still, I would love for them to take that Netflix. I mean, at least that part of it, because I mean, Daredevil and Spider-Man have worked together.
Yeah,
they've done team ups.
Yeah,
they're kind of in the same area there. I mean,
well, especially now, I mean, given the fact of how they're establishing this Spider-Man as a ground level superhero.
Yeah.
Clearly there's going to be sequels on the way. And I personally can't wait. I wasn't excited to see this movie, and I know we both said it. There had been a lot of awful Spider-Man stuff.
We had gotten burned on the other Spider-Man movies.
Civil War was a glimmer of hope of what they could do with it in the right hands.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna wait a couple weeks to see it, but I was on vacation this whole week, and it was actually my wife Vera said to me, I think I'd like to see this Spider-Man movie. So I was like, all right, okay, let's go see it. And I really, really enjoyed it. One of the things that surprised me the most, and this doesn't even have anything to do with the movie, is Sony really wanted you to know that this is still a Sony movie.
Yeah, they put the Columbia Pictures logo up front of the movie before the Marvel logo.
Right.
And I mean, it's okay, fine, I get it.
Right.
But
you didn't even there wasn't a Black Panther trailer before it. There wasn't. There was no Thor trailer before it. I thought that was interesting. So yeah, there were the trailers that were before this movie. They weren't trying to sell you any other Marvel comic properties, which I thought was really interesting.
What trailers did you see?
Valerian.
Okay.
What other ones did I see?
I think Valerian is a Columbia.
Some movie with Gerard Butler called Geostorm.
No clue.
Yeah, and I don't remember the other ones. They were kind of forgettable.
There you go.
It wasn't anything big. It wasn't anything huge or anything like that.
With Disney? I mean, because it was. I mean, Disney owns them, but I would think maybe they might throw
No,
a
there wasn't.
non-Marvel.
I don't believe there was any Disney trailers either.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was very odd, like I said, that there wasn't any of that, because I was really looking forward to seeing a Black Panther trailer
That would have
in
been,
the theater.
yeah,
You know, because
on the big screen.
it would have
I
been
mean,
great.
Yeah, that would have been
because that trailer
awesome.
came out after Guardians 2.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see the Guardians 2 trailer on the big screen. However, I've gotten to see the Thor trailer on the big screen
Yeah.
twice now between Guardians and Wonder Woman, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they actually nailed this Spider-Man. They got it
think
right.
I think they did too. I think this has cured. I mean, basically, in the hands of just Sony,
Yeah.
it was crap.
Well, everything
they
was headed. Oh, we need to
Yeah.
point it in the direction of the Sinister Six, and that's what we need. And you know, my favorite Spider-Man villain is Kraven the Hunter, and we've
Yes.
never gotten to see him. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever will get to see Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, if they
You know?
got to do something with Kraven. I mean, even
I
an
would love it.
Easter egg would be a step in the right direction. But seriously,
loved to see
I mean, I would love to see. I mean, we've already gotten a flavor of Doc Ock with the Tobey Maguire movie.
Right, and Alfred
And
Molina played him great.
He did a great job.
We don't need to revisit that. There's
Yeah.
so many rogue Spider-Man that
Yeah.
they
We need to get a few of the
Yeah.
we need to get few of the villains.
I mean, we
that
got
haven't
Shocker.
been- yeah, I mean more of
twice,
Yeah, I mean come on.
and I liked it. I
Yes.
liked them a lot.
Yes.
We got the Vulture, and
Sorry,
I liked.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, sorry. Electro jerk. Let's see.
Oh,
What
that's
else?
right. He was Electro.
Yeah, he was like the ultimate version of Electro, which
Yeah.
it is what it is. I prefer the guy with the crazy lightning bolt hat. Personally,
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to see Mysterio. My
Mysterio
God.
would be an awesome one.
Right. I thought it was cool that we got a little bit of the Scorpion in this one.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. There's oh my God, there's so many. I mean, and I know Sony is kind of gearing up to do a Black Cat movie. But I'd love to see something with Black Cat. But I just don't think that Tom Holland's Spider-Man
It's not
is
the
quite
right.
there yet.
It's not the right thing
No,
for
it's
Tom
not.
Holland
Not at all.
Spider-Man to do. That's more because that was more college age Peter Parker.
Right.
So
Because there was a romantic interest there, and right now that's just not the level that he's on.
Right.
We're still dealing with a very young Spider-Man that needs to
Yeah.
mature, which is great. I didn't know how well I would be able to relate to this younger Spider-Man, because for me, when I was reading Spider-Man, it was always like an older Spider-Man.
Right.
I wasn't reading the 1960s versions where he was still a young guy and
Yeah.
everything. So, I'm not quite sure.
yeah,
But I loved it. I absolutely love Spider-Man.
I'm not even sure where the where Felicia
Yeah.
works into the timeline because you had Gwen, you had MJ.
Yeah.
Felicia's in there. I mean,
Somewhere in there
Yeah.
with MJ.
I don't think Peter was actually cheating on MJ or anything like that. It was
Right.
more, I guess they were on a break or
Yeah.
something like that, and Felicia kind of was there, and
Yeah.
but either way, I mean, I like what they what Spider-Man has become in
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's hands, and I'm glad we didn't get burnt a third time,
Right.
and I am so hoping that they, when they do a sequel, that we get something, equally as amazing. I know it's hard for a lot of movies to live up to their the sequels to live up to
Yeah.
the original, especially when they're just so
And they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
So I'm praying, Marvel, please,
Yeah.
give Kraven the Hunter. If they give us Kraven,
I mean,
I am going to be. I'm going to fanboy.
I would love it if you have it so, like, Spider-Man 2 is flash forward a couple years. Spider-Man's out there. Maybe you've got some propaganda from J. Jonah Jameson going out.
Yeah.
Like he's a disgrace. He's vile. You know, he's ruining our city and everything. There's vigilantes and everything like that. But then the Ultimate Hunter wants to catch him, and I thought that would be a great premise for a second Spider-Man movie. Because Sony and Marvel, I don't think they're ever going to see eye to eye on any kind of Venom project, because I'm pretty sure that Sony's moving forward regardless.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see Kraven the Hunter brought into that.
Well,
also,
I mean,
how about this at the end with Gwyneth Paltrow?
Oh,
bringing back Pepper Potts, because I was thinking to myself, wow, she just totally done. Like, you know, because in Civil War, when she's
Yeah.
not there and Tony's like, oh, well, we're on a break and everything like that, I was like, well, maybe Gwyneth Paltrow's not going to be
Yeah.
in this universe anymore.
Well, maybe. I mean, hopefully we'll see how that pans out. I don't know. Have they said anything about doing a fourth Iron Man movie, or maybe we'll see that in Infinity War?
The only thing that I've ever seen is that Robert Downey Jr. would be interested in doing the project, but I don't think there's any kind of Iron Man 4 in the works. I think that they're just going to bring him in as kind of that guy that is still tying the universe together and everything. I think we're gonna see things wrapped up with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, probably in Avengers: Infinity War, and then somebody else is kind of gonna pick up the leadership role.
Maybe Rhodey. I mean, because Rhodey wore the Iron Man armor for a little while.
We could see that, you know, but I really don't know. I think that you may see the Iron Man chapter close a little bit after Avengers: Infinity War, and then see things kind of the torch pass, so to speak.
Yeah. So
to some of these other characters.
It's
now.
I mean, it's sad, but it's inevitable because I mean these guys are, you know, they can't remain. They can't be ageless forever.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you cast RDJ and Mark Ruffalo. Those guys are already older, more established actors when they were cast in these roles as Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. So they aren't going to last forever, and that's fine. You know, Chris Evans has, you know, he's not going to play Captain America anymore after Avengers: Infinity War. He's bowing out because he'd like to focus on being a director and everything. You know, who knows how long Paul Bettany is going to want to
do Vision.
Yeah, you know, Elizabeth Olsen playing Scarlet Witch, but that's the whole thing about the Avengers comics. It was always a rotating lineup.
Yeah.
So they've done a really good job of bringing in not exactly like the classic Avengers.
Yep.
Like it is the classic Avengers. Like it is Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and Ant-Man. But we haven't seen a lot with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see Scott Lang brought into that.
I think we're going to end up seeing Secret Avengers before we see the real Avengers back again, because after everything that happened in Civil War.
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, I mean, it's kind of bittersweet to know that it's going to have to happen at some point, but you know, we still have Netflix. I mean, that's just technically kind of getting started. We got Defenders, and the Defenders, you know, kind of changed up a few different ways for a while, and then maybe, hopefully, we might, you know, Fox may decide to, you know, because they haven't come up with anything for Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll find.
I wish that they just leave it alone.
I'm wondering if maybe now that they've seen what's happening with the success of Spider-Man Homecoming, Homecoming, with how Sony did it with Marvel, maybe now Fox will basically kind of, you know, knock on Marvel's door and say, all right, look, you know, you did this deal, it worked out great. Can we do something similar? Let's talk.
I mean, you can hope, but I honestly don't see Fox doing that. I just don't see them being as smart as Sony.
Yeah, I mean,
why do they want to keep a property that they can't successfully create into something better? You know,
because they don't want to see Marvel succeed, probably.
Right. I mean, Fantastic Four don't exist as far as Marvel Comics go anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like the book isn't on the shelves. They're not writing any current Fantastic Four.
And that's,
you know,
and I mean, and that's part of the strategy because Fox wanted to screw Marvel, so Marvel is screwing them back and killed off the Fantastic Four titles.
And any kind of X-Men that you see on the screen is so different from what you currently see on the X-Men comics that are out there.
Yeah.
Totally different.
And X-Men were kind of their own separate universe anyway. It's very rare that you saw Spider-Man interact with them or anything like that.
I mean, even in the first Civil War comics, the X-Men weren't really that involved.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they really were. Mutants had their own thing going on.
Yeah.
But they, you know, they were kind of like an underground. They were like more underground, like with Shield and all that kind of stuff. So I could see where maybe that kind of stuff would happen. But obviously, you know, we're looking at Inhumans and all that kind of stuff. But still, I really would hope Fox would come to their senses and say, let's try putting together a deal, and then, you know, even if they don't do the original lineup, you know, with Mr. Fantastic and all, well,
I don't know how you do another lineup with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean,
without actually establishing anything. You know, we really need to.
I mean, you could do well. No, I mean,
Fox is playing fast and loose as far as the continuity goes with some of the comics
Yeah.
that they have the rights to. I mean, we've talked about it before. This Gifted show that's going to be on Fox looks absolutely terrible, and it's Bryan Singer's take on the X-Men for television. I think it's stupid. Legion that they have on FX, that is a good show. They actually did something right, but for every Deadpool, Logan, and Legion there's an X-Men Apocalypse and a Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many things they get right. I think that Fox is always just not. I don't know. There's just something to me that just they don't seem to be able to get it right.
Yeah. Well,
just don't do it. Like, no more Fantastic Four in the movies. We don't need it. We've got so much other stuff.
Yeah. Just still, I'm hopeful because I would like to see, even if we could get the the Fantastic Four that, when do you remember the issues where it was Hulk, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and Wolverine?
Oh yeah.
That was an awesome Fantastic Four series for a while.
This is like that was like the quintessential, like, that was 90s, right?
Yeah, that was 90s. They did a thing where I forgot what
it was. Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and then so it was basically the Fantastic Four like disappeared. They were off planet or something. They were fighting the Skree or
the Skrull.
The Skrull the Skull and Kree.
Oh, here's another interesting thing about that. So they could do Marvel could do something with the Skrulls if they wanted to. Yeah. But they can't do anything with Super Skrulls. Like, that's Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That's
the lines are so crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how they would really work it, but I mean, if they could bring it back into like Spider-Man or any of the Marvel movies, I really think that would be the best way to go.
Yeah.
So but
I'm not holding on to hope for it, only because I just don't think that they're smart enough.
I'm an optimist, so I gotta.
You take that side of it.
I'll take it. So okay, so we're on the two different sides.
I just don't think Fox is smart enough to say, all right, help us with this. We really want to establish a good character.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they have I just don't think they operate that way, or they would have done it with the X-Men already.
Right.
So
true with that. All right. I mean, I don't know what else is there to talk about with Homecoming. Honestly, I mean, I think we covered a lot of it.
No, nothing. I think that we gave our thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that if you haven't seen it, if you're joining us back now that spoilers are kind of over,
yes.
Then you need to go see Spider-Man: Homecoming because it is.
You do.
It's. I don't know. After seeing it once, I don't know where I can rank it as far as my favorite Marvel movies, but it's certainly up there now.
It's definitely a great Marvel movie. They nailed the character. Everything about it just worked. So yeah, I would say if you can, I mean, just go see the movie and then worry about the rest afterwards. Just pay your money, go matinee, whatever. Go see it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, do you have any other anything else you want to close out with? Or
no, people need to go see Spider-Man, and that's it. That's all. Go see Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely go see Spider-Man, and let us know what you think. Go to the website xjockalbanyny.com. You can also make sure you follow us, favorite us on iHeartRadio app, on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcastpedia, all those places where we're at, and we'll definitely be looking out for your comments and just let us know. And in the meantime, stay geeky.